So let's take a closer look at all this and see what it means. Many of the choices you make in life will have a profound impact on something else in the world, especially with things you consume, like food. It's one of the major disconnects we seem to have. What you do here might, of course, affect something over there or down the road a ways in terms of time. How to start looking outside the microcosm or the bubble that each of us tends to live in, and then perhaps how to encourage others to do the same. Well, a little bit about my journey. I became very concerned about what sustainability really does mean and began looking at food choices and agricultural systems quite some time ago. So I stopped eating processed foods and stopped eating animals when I was in graduate school about 42 years ago. And since then, I spent, yeah, it seemed easy for me. Thank you. And since then, I spent thousands upon thousands of hours researching farms, cultures, ideologies, the effect we have on our planet by way of food production. I've been researching just so many factory farms and then realized I needed to research other farms, such as grass-fed, fish farms, cage-free, large and small operations here in the United States and in many, many countries overseas, learning and, of course, always questioning. This year, I'm spending most of my time trying to align governments, academic institutions, think tanks, funding organizations, all those that are in a position to move the critical mass forward in a positive way quickly. It's my goal to get everyone on the same page regarding this environment issue and to do it as fast as possible. Well, we're going to examine the word sustainable, as I usually do, pretty carefully today and tomorrow because this word is constantly misused. It's frequently morphed into so many different meanings to suit so many different needs. For most people, it refers to our energy sector still. How many miles per gallon your gas can get, how many energy-efficient light bulbs you can switch out to save electricity, or to waste, how, what, and when to recycle, maybe even to composting. Occasionally, we hear about economic or social sustainability, but rarely, if ever, is food choice properly positioned in sustainability efforts, especially the raising and eating of animals, despite the enormous effect. It seems to be simply too challenging for everyone, culturally, socially, and yet this word, sustainable, is the most important word in our vocabulary that we need to define accurately. Well, think about it. If we get this word sustainable wrong as it applies to our own species, well, the consequences aren't so good, are they? Indeed, a little stark, but indeed, civilizations have vanished based on how they used or misused their environment. As I mentioned, we humans have reached a critical and fragile point in our evolutionary journey as a species. Just in the past 100 years, a blink of an eye, really, we've reached the Anthropocene era, where we've acquired the power to negatively change our biosphere, the lithohydron atmosphere. We're ruining the very environs that sustain us and all other life on Earth. Unfortunately, we haven't acquired the wisdom or the maturity to be able to manage this power in a sensible or beneficial manner. In fact, 5 out of 9 identified tipping points or planetary boundaries related to our life support systems on Earth, 5 out of 9 have already been passed. And all 9 boundaries are interconnected. As one collapses, the others will soon follow. A team of 28 internationally renowned scientists have identified and quantified these planetary boundaries, which are just very similar to what I'm talking about with global depletion, in various categories. And within these boundaries, humanity can continue to develop and thrive for generations to come. However, crossing these boundaries will generate abrupt and irreversible damage to the environment and then create risks for continued human existence. So once again, 5 out of 9 identified boundaries have already been crossed. And with the other 4 boundaries, we're exceeding their tolerance levels. The boundaries that we've crossed are with climate change, biosphere loss of integrity and extinctions, land use and land system change, and altered biogeochemical flows such as phosphorus and nitrogen, and also ocean acidification. The story for me always seems to begin with these 2 numbers. There are 7.4 billion people living on our planet today, with 240,000 added every single day, net. Control the growth of our population, then, is an issue, but it's not nearly the problem as the number on the right, what we're doing to the planet. The number on the right represents the fact that there are more than 70 billion animals living on our planet that we raise and eat for food each year. And it repeats itself year after year in growing numbers. And in fact, that's the problem. This 70 billion number is also quite impossible to pin down. And it's very much on the light side, because on any given day, you might find up to 1.7 trillion chickens, or 2 to 3 trillion fish in the world, sooner or later going off to slaughter that one year. Let's look at a graphic about global depletion. Certainly there are other industries that contribute to this picture, but none have the comprehensive impact as animal agriculture. Simply put, we're in overshoot mode, demanding more of our planet's resources than what it can supply. We've been in overshoot mode since 1973. Today it would take 1.5 to 2 full Earths to sustain what we're currently taking from and doing to our planet. Here in the United States, and in a few other countries overseas, it would require 5 full Earths to support our current lifestyle. It's serious enough on its own merit, but it's made much more so because of all the layers and layers of various influences that tend to bury the problem and bury its solutions. What's critical for everyone to understand is that this is not just an industrial or a factory farm issue. Not at all. It's a raising animals to eat issue. And we're going to see that as we go along today and tomorrow. So let's continue refining our thoughts on global warming or climate change. First, we need to remember that global warming is just one component of the much larger, more insidious problem of global depletion, the more total effect we have on our planet, and it's not all caused by the energy sector. Discussions regarding global warming and climate change have now taken front stage nearly everywhere. It must be remembered, though, that climate change will have the effects of exacerbation. It takes events and makes them worse. Global warming and climate change, for instance, will not be the initial cause of these categories of global depletion. We cause these things. Climate change will worsen them. This State of Our Climate report was released just a couple weeks ago, in early August, documenting the work of over 450 climate scientists. The report is gloomy at best. We're breaking a number of records we shouldn't be so proud of breaking, finding that last year was the warmest on record, as many of you know. Records such as global temperatures now reached a 1 degree centigrade rise above pre-industrial times, a new record. Concentration of greenhouse gas emissions in our atmosphere have reached now 407 parts per million. That's a new record. Oceans have risen 70 millimeters. That's almost 3 inches since 1993. The seas are now rising over 3 millimeters per year, which isn't so good for island countries, which is already causing island countries and some portions of island countries to begin disappearing. Now, a couple of things about this 1 degree centigrade rise in Earth's temperature. First, that is about the new target that we shouldn't exceed, is actually 1.5 degrees centigrade rise, not 2 degrees as many had once projected. So we're already 2/3 of the way there to a hostile, potentially unlivable, irreversible in our lifetime set of weather patterns. Oh, and the second thing about this is that the first half of this year, 2016, is even warmer than last year, on track to set another record. So rather than simply knowing about this global warming situation, I think it's time we do something about it. It's time we act, and we act right away, isn't it?